The prayers you have prayed for your children, said in the quiet of your own heart when no one heard you but me, have not evaporated. They have accumulated layer upon layer, building a spiritual covering over the lives of those you have interceded for that cannot be pulled down by the adversary's efforts. The walls around your family are real. They were not constructed by the intensity of your emotion or the eloquence of your words, but by my sovereign response to your persistent trust. When you have prayed for a child who is walking in a difficult direction, when you have asked me to protect a spouse or a parent or a sibling whose situation concerns you deeply, when you have lifted to me the name of someone whose path makes you lie awake, those prayers became bricks in a wall that surrounds the person you prayed for. Your home is consecrated ground. This is not poetry. It is spiritual reality. The place where you live, where you rest, where your family comes together, where you have at various times prayed and wept and believed and sought my face. That space has been altered by my presence responding to your invitation. There is a measurable spiritual difference between a place where my name has been consistently spoken in faith and a place where it has not. You have called on my name within those walls. You have asked for my presence to fill that space. And I have responded to that invitation in ways that have changed the spiritual climate of your home, in ways that persist whether or not you feel them in any given moment. Consecrated territory is not neutral ground. The adversary does not have free rein in a place that has been set apart for me, covered by my blood and my name, filled with the prayers of someone who belongs to me. The work your hands do is also under my care. Your livelihood, the means by which you provide for yourself and for those who depend on your provision, this is not outside the scope of what I concern myself with. I know what the adversary has targeted in the area of your finances and your professional life, because I know what he understands about the particular corrosive effect of sustained material pressure. It is a specific kind of anxiety that erodes peace gradually, that makes prayer feel difficult, that makes the distance between your current situation and the promises of provision feel impossibly wide. It is not dramatic suffering. It is the slow grinding of ongoing uncertainty, and he uses it strategically because it is so effective at distracting your attention and depleting your spiritual energy over time. My provision has a different logic than the logic of the material world. It does not follow the rules that govern scarce resources distributed among competing needs. It operates according to the principles of a kingdom whose source of supply is unlimited, whose storehouse is never empty, and whose distribution is guided by a wisdom that knows exactly what you need and exactly when you need it. My provision has followed you through your entire life, including the seasons when you did not recognize it as such. The unexpected supply that arrived when the numbers did not work. The favor extended in professional spaces where you had no logical reason to expect it. The open door that appeared just as another one closed, with a timing so precise that only in retrospect could you see the design behind it. When you step forward in your work, when you show up with integrity, when you serve with genuine care, when you apply yourself to what is before you, with the understanding that I am your ultimate employer and that your work is an act of stewardship, my favor moves ahead of your effort. Not in ways that bypass your need to work faithfully, but in ways that multiply the fruit of that faithful work beyond what your effort alone could produce. Doors open for someone who walks under my covering that would remain closed to the same person operating under their own authority alone. Relationships develop differently. Opportunities arise from directions that could not have been predicted. This is the consistent, quiet, powerful way my favor operates in the life of someone who walks in alignment with me. Let me speak now about what has been happening in this particular season. Not about protection in the abstract, but about the specific pattern of pressure you have been navigating. Because you are not imagining it, there has been a clustering of difficulties that goes beyond random circumstance. Things that are difficult have been arriving not one at a time, in a manageable sequence, but in combination. Multiple areas of your life pressing simultaneously in a way that has made the overall weight feel exponentially greater than any individual piece would have been. Relational strain coinciding with financial concern. Physical tiredness coinciding with spiritual dryness. A sense of being behind, of not keeping up, of falling short in too many areas at once to attend to any of them adequately. The pattern you have noticed is real. The adversary has been deliberate. And the reason the intensity has increased rather than decreased in this period is something I need you to hear clearly. He is running out of runway. There is something in your near future, a transition, a breakthrough, a fulfillment of something I promised you that has been building quietly for a long time, that he can perceive from his vantage point, and that he is desperately trying to prevent, delay, or derail. Increased aggression from the adversary is almost always evidence of proximity to breakthrough. He does not invest concentrated, coordinated effort in lives where nothing significant is approaching. The very specificity and intensity of the pressure in this season is telling you something important about what is directly ahead of you. What he cannot factor into his calculations is the spiritual dynamic that sustained pressure creates. It drives you toward me. Every time he turns up the heat, he is creating conditions in which your tendency is to seek my face with an urgency you would never summon in comfortable seasons. The deep seeking that happens in desperate seasons produces a quality of knowing me, of experiencing my presence and faithfulness, that simply does not develop in easy times. Comfort produces gratitude. Desperation produces intimacy. And intimacy with me is the one thing the adversary cannot afford to facilitate, because it produces a depth of trust and a quality of spiritual sight that makes people increasingly difficult to deceive and increasingly resistant to the tactics that have worked on them before. Every battle he brings to your door that drives you deeper into my presence is a battle he has ultimately lost, regardless of how it appears in its opening stages. He may win a moment, gain a foothold in a specific situation, cause real and painful disruption in real areas of your life. I am not dismissing the reality of what you have been walking through, but the ultimate trajectory of every battle he initiates against someone who is covered by my presence and who keeps turning toward me under pressure, that trajectory runs consistently against him. He overreaches. He miscalculates. He does not fully understand the effect of pressure on a person who is genuinely mine, because the effect is often the opposite of what he intended. There is a contrast I want you to hold in your mind as a permanent frame for understanding your situation. On one side, the visible, everything you can see, measure, feel, and be troubled by. The specific problems, the specific relationships that are strained, the specific uncertainties that have not resolved. These are real. I am not asking you to pretend they are not real, or to manufacture a performance of peace that is disconnected from honest acknowledgement of what you are actually experiencing. They exist, and they matter, and I see them with complete clarity. On the other side, the invisible, the entire dimension of reality that your physical senses have no access to, but that is no less real for being unseen. The shield, the walls, the advance guard of my presence in every space you are about to enter. The strategic work being done on your behalf in dimensions you cannot see. The prayers of others whose intercession has been added to your covering without your knowledge. The favor already moving ahead of you toward situations that have not yet opened. The purposes being worked through the very difficulties that have felt most oppressive, in ways that will be visible to you only from the other side of this season. Both dimensions are real, but they are not equal in ultimate power. What is visible to you is temporary. It operates in the time-space domain where things change, where situations shift, where what looks fixed today is different tomorrow. What is invisible, my protection, my purposes, my power, my love for you, these operate in the domain of the eternal and the sovereign. And eternal and sovereign always outlast the temporary and the circumstantial. This is the truth the adversary needs you to forget, that the most real things about your situation are not the things you can currently see. Now I want to unfold for you the complete picture of the armor, piece by piece, because each element represents a specific form of protection that I have built into your identity as my child, not as equipment you put on externally, but as realities you inhabit from the inside. The belt of truth is the first thing you secure, and this is not accidental. Truth is structural. It is the framework around which all other protection organizes itself. When your thinking is grounded in the truth of who I am, in the truth of what I have declared about you, in the truth of what I have promised and what those promises cost to make, the entire system of your protection